Shah, who is a radiology tech at New York Presbyterian Hospital System. He's also a social justice activist, and he's a two-time COVID survivor. So we're going to turn it over to Shah. And Shah, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you very much. Hi guys, my name is Shah Mirza. I work in radiology. I work at New York Presbyterian Hospital in New York City. And unfortunately, I was diagnosed with COVID last year in April. Um, at that time, it was very scary. And thankfully, I was able to recover. And, the interesting thing about being in healthcare right now, it's we feel the same way as you guys. Honestly, maybe people will not admit it, but there's fear. Uh, we ourselves. I remember when the vaccine first came out of the hospital, we were we were afraid. A lot of people said no initially when we first got that message. The majority of people said no, and slowly after that, we started to build trust and started to hold ourselves responsible and go from there and helping each other get access to the vaccination. But I'll share my experiences with you guys in a little bit. But first, what I want to do is I want to go to our facilitators who have been so kind enough to help in each individual room. So I'll start off by asking Dr. Clifton uh, how his break room was.
It was a vibrant group, and people were willing to share. We were all impacted by the opening speaker and informed us to know that information is vital. Can you hear me? Um,
Yes, we can. Yes.
okay, good. Um, and came up with the ideas of maybe individually volunteering to seek out people that aren't aware of what's available, what's the issue, and giving them encouragement about they have to be tenacious. It's very hard. They don't make it easier, which also then led into a discussion of there's policymakers and distribution people that aren't that equal distribution is not their primary concern. Maybe their concern is to be able to help certain interest groups. So there's an inequity in distribution, and then there was a lot of discussion about how what is true and how the media affects people in having really misinformation or false news about the effects of the vaccine, whether it can deal with issues of being able to get pregnant, uh, developing cancer. It's just not known. It's untrue, and that discourages a lot of people. But people, ultimately, if they can be given enough information, they can maybe make their minds up. But also, part of the information is that that you can find ways to get it. It takes a lot of tenacity, and that's the unfortunate part of some people who are working on their feet all night, all day long, and then they have to come home and to have 3 hours to spend trying to get an appointment is very, very difficult. But I've noticed with some clients that if they go directly to some actually vaccine centers, they can make an appointment. Or actually, many people of where I was today, I know several people that would go at the end of the day, and they got their vaccine, and they were in every group. Um, and also because at the end of the day, sometimes these centers have open vaccines and they can't be refrozen, so they're happy to give it to anybody rather than throw it out. So it was really encouraging that we sort of had a manifesto to try to just disseminate you know information and also give empathy towards how difficult it is. But we have to break through that difficulty. So it was a pleasure to be involved in this group. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And you made a great point that there are vaccines that are not used. So these people will be happy to give it to others. And I actually had one friend that had called me one day, and he was so ecstatic. He's like, "Oh man, guess what? I got the vaccine." And I'm like, "Wait, how'd you get the vaccine?" He's like, "Yeah, they just told me that at the school, this local school in Brooklyn, they were giving it out." And he went there, and they were like, "Yeah, well, get the vaccine." So he got it, and his wife didn't believe him. She was like, "No, there's no way. You made an appointment. You went without me." So it was really hilarious to see her reaction to it. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That's exactly how one of my friends got the vaccine, and I think he's in his mid 40s, and he said, "Yeah, I was able to get it." So great point, Dr. Clifton, that you made right there, and absolutely, and I think that yes, uh, there are some interest groups that and the distribution hasn't been equal. One important thing that I've learned, especially after what we've been through in the past few years in this country, is that we have to be very vocal. I think if we see something that is wrong, we have to speak up. I used to take a back seat to a lot of these things because I don't want to, offend people, etc. But now that we see how serious, this is and how it could affect our lives, we have to speak up. If we see something wrong, we should say something. We should post it on social media, blog about it. Like I remember we were talking about in our group, but we should definitely speak out about these things and make each other aware, so that we're all on the same page and we can help make a difference going forward. Thank you so much, Dr. Clifton. That was great. Mrs. Fairley, you're up next.
We're tired. We're frustrated. Life, it's like there's an opportunity out there, but we can't get it. We just can't get to it. And I don't know what's more frustrating, being in the house and being isolated, or having the idea that we won't be and you can't get it. So one person mentioned that the organization of giving out the vaccine, the one person in Philadelphia, she's trying to get it, and trying to get it for her mother. Her mother's reluctant because she doesn't think that the media has developed a distrust that the vaccine can be given out, the first one, but maybe the second one won't be there. So there's a distrust created by the media again. And the other thing is that, she found out that, what was it? There were, you know, 200, what was it? 250, like 250, yes, 255,000 people signed up, and there were 76 doses in Philadelphia. Okay, well, that's frustrating. So don't even tell me that to begin with. Like, that's awful. But one person came up with the idea is that in the state, you're given a ticket. There's a list, there's a ticket. You start with a 75 and older, you give them the ticket and their time that's local. And that goes across with people who are workers, because people who work in restaurants or people who are working all the time, they don't have time to sign up for getting a vaccine. They want it. They truly want it. I know they want it, and they can't sign up. So their hands are tied unless they have somebody doing it for them. So the frustration in all of this is just really great. And also going places and having, like, Melanie's mom said it was just chaotic, and it should never be chaotic. The medical field is organizing this. They need to have it in a very organized, safe fashion. So if it's not, then a letter needs to be written, a statement needs to be made, and I'm not coming back there for my second vaccine. And your responsibility is to tell me where I will get my second vaccine. And it really should be brought to my home. I mean, that situation where people's health is in jeopardy, there should be, adjustments made. So I see that, it's getting a little better, but boy, the frustration, and why create frustration in this really, really, frustrating, tiring time to begin with. And And having other people help, I think that's something, if you know people who need help, is to give them help. I called someone, Melanie was the one who gave me the number to call. And then I called another person and I said, if you need help, let me, I'll do that. And I've called other people to offer my help. And so that, again, creating a sense of community and a community of caring is really what this forum is about, and what that's about. But it's just, and also behind this, I think there was an original plan of how to do there was an emergency plan. It just wasn't implemented. That's what I believe. See how trusting I am? Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And no, listen, I'm completely with you. I'm completely with you because the funny thing I was telling in my group that this is how we found out about the vaccine at work. We got a group text message. Hey guys, please let us know if you want the vaccine. That's it. No information, no, just so the funny thing was everybody said no except for a couple of people. But what the interesting thing that happened after that is that as we start to get vaccines, as other people start to get vaccines, like our supervisors, our managers, they took the first. They're like, hey, you know what? Let us step forward and take it. And a lot of respect to them for doing that. That made us more comfortable. Because at first I wanted to see how everything was. Plus, I'd been through so much with COVID. I'm like, I don't know about this, man. I'm gonna just take a little back seat. I don't want it to affect my health. And interesting thing, I also had to get one thing with me though. I had an underlying condition. I had a deviated septum, which I actually got surgery for in November. After the whole COVID thing, I got surgery for it, and that helped improve my breathing, and I was able to breathe much better in masks. So I did have an underlying condition. So I was very nervous about this. But as you saw other people getting the vaccine and seeing them get the first shot and then the second shot, then you felt more comfortable. And they talked to you. They told you, hey, listen, the first shot, yeah, it hurts a little bit, but after a day or two, you're good, and that's it. So I absolutely agree. I think that the public as well need to make sure that on the outside, we create a level of trust where we can talk to people about this and let them know that yeah, it's safe, and yes, there are ways to access it. There's so many different ways to access it, and I do really like the idea that we need to have somebody in healthcare, have somebody that we trust, that we can talk to and we can get information from. That's going to help us going forward. Okay, and Natalie Borneo, you're leading our group, so please feel free to get started.
We did have Shah in our room and it was great. So, we resolved too that it really takes a village. Much like all of the social justice activities that we saw and the need to bring it down to a grassroots level, while we have this great solution, we have to be the ones to shepherd it through and satisfy our curiosity and have those conversations in community, make lists of people we want to check in with. So in our group, we had folks who were from Pennsylvania, Vancouver, Canada, San Diego, and New York City. And the conversation started about the need to build trust back. How do you build trust? Well, in many different ways. As an individual, it really makes sense to start with your healthcare provider, your trusted doctor, the person who knows you best, who can really define for you. As Shah, I wouldn't think of a deviated septum as a pre-existing condition, but your physician knowing you, your ins and outs and everything, can really speak to maybe some of the things that are underlying conditions beyond the obvious ones, right? Like hypertension and diabetes, we hear about that. But there are other things that make us vulnerable. So having a conversation with your physician, developing that personal relationship, if you don't have it, seek one out. You can change your doctor if you don't like his bedside manner. You don't have to stay there. But it really helps, as everyone has said, if you have someone who understands and can break things down in basic language for you. So the first thing for all of us, and for those that we talk to, if there's doubt, say, Have you spoken with your doctor? That's a good place to start. And then we talked about the fact that if you're not in one of the categories that are being focused on right now, you are totally like, well, it's not my turn, so I don't really need to focus on that right now. And so you're not adding to the conversation, but you're also not working through it yourself because as individuals, we all have the same baseline fear. You have to work your way through the process of acceptance, as Shaw shared. Even medical workers and those in that area really, I want the facts. I want to understand and be comfortable before I take this next step. I'll wait. Well, there is time now if you are not in a category that is being expedited at this point to really do your homework, do some research and share it. So maybe the next person doesn't have to start from scratch. Nalini dropped a number in the chat. I challenge those who haven't done anything to make a phone call, have a conversation. The other thing that was pointed out and is so very true, that while we love social media and the way it's helped us through this social injustice time of exposing things, and it has not worked well to be the source of information for our seniors and those who need to get detail on what do I need to know today about the vaccination and how do I get it. There is not a great push on the traditional advertising media and mediums for those who are our seniors to feel comfortable, to feel like they're getting all the information. So, you know, we've often talked about social media is buoy great, but there are limitations to social media, right? And so maybe it is really pointing out to people, we need to hear more of it on regular news. We need more detail, especially for seniors who need to make a decision. But if there are younger people around, millennials, others, it is incumbent upon us to ask questions of our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. Have you made an appointment? What steps have you been taking? How can I help? How can I help is great. So while we have the solution, we have a failure to launch situation, right? We haven't been able to effectively drill down and get information to people. Now, we did have a contributor in our room who said, you know, I watch people, I see them in my neighborhood, they're masked, they're in the grocery store, they're getting around, but I don't see them running to get the vaccination. And I personally am a little reluctant to step into that space. I feel like that's an invasion. I feel like that's maybe going too far. And so as we talked through, we said, well, what can be done is, because in her neighborhood, thankfully, a local pharmacy is a distribution site, and her spouse was able to get his vaccination by merely going in and writing down, taking names, making an appointment there in person and being served. As a provider, perhaps that pharmacy could sponsor an information session that is really cultivated for the local community, speaking to them, a familiar face telling them and what they need to hear and taking questions. So sometimes if we feel like it's out of scope for us, we need to bring in the reinforcements, right? So it may be a pharmacy, a community center, a church. Hey, pastor, can we have someone come in and talk about the vaccination? There are things that we can do from our seats because we're still in this village, but we can bring in others to help us. We also, as Shaw talked about the fact that, you know, it took a while for even his peer group to wrap their arms around this vaccination. Yet I'm struck by the fact that we now have a cure in a situation where we thought it was completely helpless. We have a cure and we have so much reluctance around it. We're just not comfortable. The energy of the social justice movement and the passion is not there for this cure. which is the only thing that's really going to help us get beyond. And so it's going to take a lot of effort and a leap of faith, but we're still a team, and we have to share as much information as possible with each other by blogging, writing, posting, and making that list of 5 people to start with, encouraging them. The grassroots effort is still very much needed in this time when we are waiting for the solution. We can't sit by and wait for someone to say, okay, I made an appointment for you. It would be nice, but we have to be proactive. And we have to care enough about other people to ask them if they need help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Natalie. I love the passion, and I think that a lot of people need to hear this because there has been this reluctance from many people, and like you said, you made a great point. There was this huge passion for social justice. Now, where's the same passion for the vaccine now, where we have the solution right here in front of us, right? And it goes on everybody's shoulders. This is, of course, the people that are distributing the vaccine. Where's their passion to be like, hey, let's make sure this is organized and make sure it's very thorough. Where's the passion for the people in healthcare that that have dealt with this? They should be the first ones, and they should all be saying on social media and their any blogs and anything, even to their relatives and friends that, hey, listen, I got the vaccine. I encourage you to get it as well. So we need that all around, all across the board, and hopefully we get that. Hopefully we can start this right here, and all of us, each individual person, can go back home and go to their respective organizations, workplaces, and encourage others to say, hey, let's get this rolling, guys. We know people now that have gotten it, and we have a solution to this, so let's go forward with it. And hopefully we can get the ball rolling on this. 100%. Love the passion, Natalie. Thank you so much. You inspire me right now. I feel like I had to go post on Facebook right now. I had to go post and let everybody know. I didn't post anything. I was so busy. And but now I'm like, all right, let's go. I feel like I'm ready to go right now.
One of our participants is a retired pediatrician, and she is so moved that she is seeking to volunteer to vaccinate people. So, there are ways that people can still get involved, share information from where they sit.
100%. And actually, one of my buddies, he lives in Long Island, and he was telling me that he actually volunteered to be what's it called, to help out the vaccination. And I was like, wow. And I was like, you don't get paid for this? He's like, no, I just go there, and I'm like, wow, okay, all right, that's great. So you're seeing that now, people that actually care. They're sitting at home and they're like, you know what, let me try to make a difference and do something. And so we definitely need more people like that go out there and start taking a step in the right direction and sharing with others. Thank you so much, Natalie, again. Malia, how are you? You are up next.
Thank you, Shah. Yeah, we had a great group and great conversation. I feel like we were just like kind of just digging into it. And then it was like, you have 1 minute. So hopefully I can sum up everything correctly, because we did have such a rich conversation. So one of the things we talked about is really like this gap and inequity between like knowledge versus solution, right? So like when things happen like COVID pandemic, we're in this together and stuff, and we have this like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, this inequity is there. And then when it passes or it doesn't affect you, you really kind of move past it, and then you forget that you had that knowledge. And so like, does the solution ever really take hold? And from that member, story kind of like paralleled with another story about one of our members has said she had a friend who, when she spoke to her in like November, December, was very skeptic about the vaccine, was like, I'm not going to do that, not going to get it. And then she would see her weekly on Zoom and then realized she got COVID. And after getting COVID, she now became this champion for the vaccine because she got COVID. So it's like, until it really happens to you, what will you champion, right? and this really, it's interesting because the things that we're talking about, we had made reference, like applies to so much in social justice, right? And so and then also the same friend, her mom lives in another country and is pushing for people to get the vaccine there because she wants her daughter to visit. And so, you know, we're missing our families, and like this knowledge of the vaccine and getting people to do it really is so that you can have a better life, get back to it, right? Come back. And we also had another member who works in social justice, has worked on impact for a very long time. And in this time, especially with COVID, he feels helpless. Helpless because he doesn't really know what he can do because of lack of access to people. The isolation, right, really causes you like to not be able to get in front of people and talk, and like being able to share that. And also like, you know, to give people the information. And he had shared that his parents, who are on the elderly side, got the vaccine, and then what they did was go around and speak to their peers. So it's like peer on peer consultation. And it was like, come on, sign up. And they were helping other people who didn't have a computer, were frustrated, and they were taking that ownership upon themselves. And sorry, all of these conversations we're having were so parallel. Another parallel to that was this other part of the conversation about this whole access to information. And we had a member who was just dropping knowledge on us, like, and Peter, sorry, I just said the name, he shared it in the chat, and like, it's really cool. He was like able to do so much research and like really understand it. And I say this because I shared that I was also a skeptic person, just naturally do not trust the government for many reasons. But when people were explaining it to me like logic, I was like, yes, I follow your logic, but I'm still uncomfortable and I don't know why. And so, you know, and so this person was sharing, like, you already had vaccines, you know, I've got vaccines for this. We're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to accept it. It was like, I know, but you know, but then it comes to the point of like, well, how do you then communicate that to people who maybe don't have the time or access, and where is the balance of social responsibility for that information versus personal responsibility, and what does that look like, which is a much bigger conversation. But some suggestions, or something that was really interesting that another member shared, was that he was working on a strategic communication plan, and they did things where it was really about different cultures require different language of persuasion, which I loved. And so like he gave an example about a comic book that was used to deliver information, that was a popular comic book in that area. And I think he said it was Pakistan, and forgive me if I got that wrong. So, you know, I thought that was really great and just kind of really poignant when you're talking about delivering information. Not everyone receives it the same. Not every person culturally receives it the same. And how can we, even with your friends, if you're going to go on Facebook, maybe share it a little bit differently, you know, you don't have to create your own comic book, but, you know, think about that as you're like, when you're speaking to different people. And when I'm doing strategy announcements, I also just say like, know your audience. And I think in this pandemic, like, we need to realize there are a lot of different audiences at play. So, thank you so much. And thank you to my group.
Thank you so much, Malia. And wow, no, that was great. What a great point you made, that we need to speak to different audiences in a different way, right? And also different cultures, right? I know that a lot of people in my culture, the people from like the Pakistani Muslim background, they're a little bit more like, oh, we don't want to, we want to stay away from this, especially the elders. And I think it's the job of us youngsters who are, who, especially with people who are in the healthcare field, to encourage them, so that's our little hurdle that we have to help them. And especially over here in New York, in the Muslim community, there were a lot of deaths, and still going on. Still, we're hearing about people, family, friends who are passing away. So there's definitely knowledge that needs to be shared, and knowing what type of audience you're speaking to. And I remember back in April, I was very afraid to post, publicly, that I had COVID. Because what happens is then people are like, oh, wait, well, Shah has COVID, so well, you know, we don't want to hang out with him. We can't hang out with them, et cetera, et cetera. But I felt that, you know, it was a responsibility that I had to share with people that, hey, listen, I'm a young person and I got this, and I was pretty sick. So that's a part of it. And I remember when I posted it, I just said that, hey, listen, consult your doctor. You know, do your research. This is what worked for me, right? And the same sense now with the vaccines, that we can share our experience. That, hey, listen, this is what I believe, and it's good to get this, and let's get it together, you know. And or you could even have a conversation and ask them, so what are your why are you hesitant about getting this vaccine? But these conversations are important. One of my friends had told me that he was having a conversation with another friend, and he was telling him, hey, you know, I want to get my parents vaccinated, but there are no appointments. Ironically, the his friend had a sister who was a healthcare provider, and he was like, you know what, let me speak to my sister because I think she can get you an appointment. And she ended up helping them get the appointment. Took a little bit of time, but just by sharing, you know, you can find a way. So it's really important that we, first of all, we have to build that trust, right? All of us, we have to build that trust as a public, right? One is by sharing information, and secondly, and more importantly than sharing information, just by being there for one another, having a conversation, calling each other up. Hey, how are you doing? How's your family? You know, what do you guys feel about the vaccine, etc. And checking in with people, especially the elder community, because over and over, what I'm hearing is that a lot of elders, since they're like, oh, you know, well, I'm not, I can't have this vaccine yet, or I can't make this appointment, they let things be. And the one thing that I've noticed, especially in our community, was that, oh, before with COVID, oh yeah, well, COVID doesn't apply to me. We don't have COVID, so we don't have to worry about COVID. And then people started getting sick, right? They're like, ah, well, we're only seeing our family members, so we're okay. And then people started getting sick, you know. So we have to make sure that we don't just let this be, that we do reach out to make sure that we are aware of the seriousness of this. And um and then, now, how can we be responsible? um I think the most important thing now is that we start thinking about others besides ourselves, right? If you feel something about this, you share with other people, and understand that there are serious concerns. I remember somebody had told me recently that, oh man, you know, I can't believe this lady. She's so stupid. She doesn't want to get her kids vaccinated. She's stupid. They're, you know, idiots. And to my thing is like, all right, what's up with the name calling and why this negativity? Why don't you try to understand her side? You know, try to talk to her instead of just being, oh, well, they're idiots and they're uneducated, just the nonsense. You know, it's the same stuff that the media has been spilling as well. You know, just complete negligence. So we need to make sure that we we're responsible with our conversations and our interactions with other people. You know, and even if you can, I know we're all so overwhelmed, and you know, Miss Failey, it's so funny because I feel the same way. I'm just so sick of this. When is this gonna end? And we all feel the same way. But I think that if we just reach out and talk to other people and see if we can help them, um, it's gonna make a difference. It's gonna help us feel a little better too, because we're all just sitting at home. I mean, it's for me, it's been ridiculous because my wife just had the baby, and I'm here with the kids at home, and it's just mayhem. So, but we all need to just try to figure out a way to have these conversations, and the most important part, facilitating access, right? This is different people have tried different things. You know, some people have tried to make appointments, some people have reached out to other people in healthcare and go about it that way. And we all have the same fear that, oh, you know what, we won't be able to get this appointment. But we need to try a little bit harder, right? We all need to try, find people. I know a bunch of people that I've been able to help. So if there's any way that I can help somebody here, especially in New York, let me know, and I'll be there to help you guys out. And the most importantly, we need to just remember that, so, you know, we are a community, so we all need to stick together. And whatever way that we can help you guys, please let us know. If you have any questions, or if you need to reach out for anything, please feel free to reach out to me, not only any of the group members here. But thank you guys so much for your time. We really, really appreciate you guys being here. It's you know, a lot of times when you're in these groups, you feel reassured that you're not the only one feeling this way. You're not the only one feeling tired and sick of this. And believe me, we are with you. Even on the healthcare side, um, at the end of the day, man, we're regular human beings too. You know, we're gonna mess up too. You know, we're gonna be unsure of these things as well. That's the most important thing that I've realized this year. I always thought we were so sure of things, and yeah, you know, we got it all figured out. But this year, I'm like, no, man, we we it's still a learning curve. You know, for all of us. So when you guys go out there, be compassionate, be understanding. Yes, we're tired, but this is a very important phase right now that's coming up. Right, this right now, we have to reach out to the public, and we all have to stick together. Whatever resources that you can share with one another about getting the vaccine, do it. Whatever information that you can share with elders about the benefits of the vaccine, and for them to be a little bit more proactive, share that with them. You know, even if it's one person at a time, that's okay. You know, whether it's your family member, a friend, uh, go ahead and do that. And just remember, we are in this all together, guys. Okay, and hopefully, God willing, we're gonna get through this. We are gonna get through this. Okay, so thank you very much again. Okay.
Thank you so much.